Hi guys, so I know you've all been patiently waiting on the moisturiser review of the moisturisers you suggested I try and give you feedback on a few weeks ago. But before I posted that, I wanted to give you an overview of what is a moisturiser, so you understand the differences between them. And a moisturiser traditionally took the form of an emulsion, but they're now more commonly available as oils, gels and serums. And the texture of a moisturiser is really down to personal preference. So those people with drier skin types may prefer an emulsion or an oil, while those with oily skin types may prefer the feel of a gel on their skin because it tends to be lighter. But the basic function of a moisturiser is just to trap water in the skin. That's it. No fancy stuff. It doesn't do anything else really. And the emulsions and oil type moisturisers tend to trap water a bit better because they're more occlusive. But what's in a moisturiser? So there are a multitude of things. First of all is a solvent, and that tends to be the kind of carrier, the bulk of the formulation, which is generally water. Other things are humectants. So humectants are ingredients that attract and absorb water, like glycerin and hyaluronic acid to an extent, urea. And then there's emollients. So emollients tend to have occlusive effects. They reduce transepidermal water loss of water from the skin. And some are used, for their light feeling. So silicones are quite often used to be light as an emulsion. Esters are another one. And then heavier, more occlusive feeling emollients tend to be things like vegetable oils, natural butters like shea butter, and petroleum derived ingredients. The third thing that are in most moisturisers are viscosity controllers or stabiliser enhancers, and they're really just to provide texture and thickness to a formulation. So they include things like, vegetable gums and polymers, starches, waxes. And then there are the emulsifiers, which is just the glue that keeps the moisturiser together. The preservatives, which just stop the product going mouldy essentially, so not to be feared. There's nothing wrong with preservatives in a moisturiser. And then the other group of ingredients are things like actives. So they are basically the marketing bit, which in my opinion, a lot of the time aren't needed. I'll talk about that in a minute. But a lot of the product claims are derived from the active part of the formulation. So really, 7 main groups of ingredients in a moisturiser. How do you make a moisturiser? So formulations really differ by playing around with the different categories of raw materials. So using different levels and different materials within the moisturiser. And things like the choice of the oil in a moisturiser determines on how heavy or light the moisturiser will be. So product texture, viscosity, it can be changed by adding things like water, oil, thickeners, and these materials are often used as well to provide product stability and stop the product separating. But what about all these moisturiser claims? So this is the bit that people get a bit tetchy on. Legally, all claims on the bottle of moisturisers have to be substantiated. But there aren't actually any rules as to how they have to be substantiated. So, user testing is the most common way of proving claims, which arguably is not the most reliable and certainly, not the most objective source. So whenever you're picking a moisturiser, just be wary of all the claims that they give, because a lot of them are basically nonsense. When the Dr. Storm moisturisers come out, there will be minimum ingredients in them and certainly no active products, because in my opinion, they're just not needed. Keep it simple. I hope that's useful.